We love Zencaster because it allows us to record the audio for our podcast and create the video segments we use for our weekly Sister Scoop episodes. Zencaster has helped us make content capture simple.
It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencaster. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests, and feel a sense of zen knowing Zencaster's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable.
If you've thought about podcasting before and realized that you need a lot of different tools and services, those days are over. With Zencaster's all-in-one podcasting platform, you can create your podcast in one place and distribute it to Spotify, Apple, and other major destinations.
Just go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code SistersAssembled, and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencaster paid plan. We want you to have the same easy experiences we do for all of our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story.
Katie and I are always hungry, and one snack we both love is beef jerky. That's why we're so excited to tell you about one of our favorite jerky brands, Matt Hat Jerky.
Matt Hat's delicious taste makes it a great snack, and the variety of flavors, including original, black truffle, and my personal favorite, roasted garlic, means there's a flavor for everyone. Plus, it's local to the area where we grew up in, which we just love.
Use the link in the show notes below to get some Matt Hat Jerky for yourself, and make sure to use our coupon code SistersAssembled for 10% off. Hello and welcome to Sisters Assembled. We took a little break from X-Men related content, and now we're going tangentially related X-Men content because guess what? If you've been living under a rock, it's almost time for Deadpool, and this starts our official Deadpool coverage, and we are starting off by a pre-predictions episode discussing all of the crazy cameos that are confirmed or may not be happening in this film because guess what? There are so many that they deserve their own episode. And it's going to be a fun one because this movie is going to be insane. So we're going to do something a little different today. And I'm actually going to kick off the episode, besides just doing the intro, with a list of all of the confirmed characters. Because we're not going to spend time on the folks that we already know are going to be in it. So rapid fire, here they go. First, Pyro, Lady Deathstrike, Azazel. Azazel? Don't know how to say it. Sorry. Toad, Callisto, the Russian, which, side note, may also signify that there's going to be a Punisher cameo, but TBD which Punisher it is. Alioth, the X-Force, which consists of Colossus, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, Yukio, Shatterstar, Dopinder, and Peter. And those are our confirmed folks. Just to kick us off, now we have a nice, robust list of folks that are rumored to be in or that we think personally may be in, and this first one is one that I personally added, though I don't think it's terribly original, and that's Doctor Strange. I mean, I think he's gonna be in there. They jumped through a magical circle. Who else makes magical circles?
If it's not Doctor Strange, hello everybody. If it's not Doctor Strange, it's Wong.
True.
And that's just, to me, a fact. Let's be real. We know at least that there are Doctor Stranges in quite a few universes who meddle in a lot of different things. So do I think it probably teeters towards a Doctor Strange? Yes, I do. I do find him the most suspicious person who has the ability to do magic like that. So I'm highly on board thinking that, yes, he is likely putting Deadpool and Wolverine through a portal. To go where? We don't know, but I think it's him.
When you said the word suspicious, all I could think about was that Parks and Rec scene where they're like, don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious.
Don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious. I love that show.
So good. Anyway, yes, Doctor Strange is the menace of the multiverse. It's not going to be Wong. Wong is responsible. He is the Sorcerer Supreme, and he's not Doctor Strange's type of Sorcerer Supreme who likes to play fast and loose with the rules and help teenagers keep their secret identity safe and therefore ruining his entire life in the process. I mean, he didn't do that as Sorcerer Supreme, but he did that. So we know that Stephen Strange is not exactly the most responsible adult in the room. And it's definitely also, I think he would play really well with Deadpool in terms of like their like super dry humor on Doctor Strange's side, and then Deadpool's just like off the wall bizarreness. I actually think that would play really nicely. So I love you, Wong, but I think that when it comes to crazy, you don't have this level of crazy, though you did break Abomination out of jail, so you also like to bend the rules, just not in the multiverse. Multiverse, to me, that's even strange.
Yeah, and assuming, because we don't really know where a lot of things are on a timeline, assuming this is after MOM, Doctor Strange has already been meddling with the multiverse, so it wouldn't
Multiple
entirely
versions
shock
of
me.
him.
Correct. So it would not entirely shock me that he's involved here. Otherwise, let's remember though, we are in another universe. It could be technically anybody. Could be Mordo, could be, for all we know, Ned's out here now a master of the mystic arts. Like, we
True.
don't know. Do I think it's Ned? No. But my point just being is we are in another universe where really it could be anybody. I'm still thinking it's Doctor Strange though.
Yeah, agreed. All right, up next, Elektra. And I'm talking not the Daredevil version from the TV show, but the OG, Jennifer Garner, America's sweetheart herself. I'm going to go with yes. I genuinely think she's in it.
I am also going to go with yes, and not because I like to agree with you,
You
because I
don't like
really
to agree
don't.
with me.
Yeah, we all know I really don't. That's that sisterly love right there. But I'm going to say yes to this one because it's just something Ryan Reynolds would do. And that is how I'm going about all of these is what is the likelihood that Ryan Reynolds would get the utmost amount of joy out of bringing somebody specific onto the screen, whether they're coming back, whether they're making their first appearance as a cameo. I mean, he had freaking Brad Pitt just like out of a plane and then die. Like, that happened in Deadpool 2, for you guys don't remember that. And so, I don't know, you have to think all these things are going to be possible. What would be some of your bigger shock factors? Will you bring back Jennifer Garner as Elektra from a property from the 90s in which half of this fandom was like either a child or not alive for yet? Like, that is what you do. The OG, come on.
Yeah, I also think she was rumored to have been seen around set. So, from a logistical standpoint, there are some pieces of evidence pointing positively in that direction. Now, we can't talk about Elektra without talking about once hubby in real life, and man who played Matt Murdock first, Ben Affleck, as Daredevil. My personal thought, no. He hated that role, and he wants to come back in Marvel anyway. At least that's what we talked about on a recent Sister Scoop, semi-recent. I just don't see it. I don't.
From a Ryan Reynolds perspective, I do.
Fair.
Because if you're going to do her, you do him. Also, I'm thinking about all the great jokes, including somewhere having one lined up that hints at him being Batman. So I'm thinking of that direction, and I'm thinking, okay, I could see how it would play out, but logistically speaking, as you were saying, Ben didn't exactly love the role. If he wants to be back in Marvel, I mean, it's not possible. Michael B. Jordan's done it. Chris Evans has done it. They've been recasted and in a lot shorter time frame than 30 years apart. But, you never know what could be happening behind the scenes in that kind of discussion. So I don't know, maybe I'll give this one like a 50-50. I don't know because I could see Ryan wanting to do it, but I don't necessarily know if it will have happened.
That's fair. That's fair. I could see it be something that was like on the cutting room floor, not that they filmed it, but that it never made it out of like the script stage or
Right.
the storyboard stage because they just couldn't execute it for, any number of reasons. That's fair. All right. This next one I went back and forth on, but ultimately I'm going to go with no, and that's Professor X. And I think that because of a couple of reasons. One, we already saw Patrick Stewart come back. It's not new or novel or different. And two, everything that they've said is they've worked really, really hard not to undo Logan. And though I'm pretty sure it's been a while since I've watched Logan and it's going to be something I rewatch in preparation for this film, though I think Professor X does die, I just think knowing that they're really trying not to touch that property too much, I think they're going to stay away from Patrick Stewart to begin with. And not to mention, because they were housed under 21st Century Fox together, he's already made the McAvoy versus Stewart joke. Like, all of those jokes are things that he was able to play with before. It's just not as interesting as, some of these ones that he couldn't touch that were like firmly owned by Marvel. or like in the MCU.
This is another tough one for me personally because I do think you have some really good reasoning, but something you kept saying was Patrick Stewart. Well, there's another Professor X out there. To be fair, I don't think they're going to have Patrick Stewart come back. To your point, happened in MOM. Wanda literally snapped his neck. It's kind of been played out. Maybe a great joke towards that would be hilarious. If we are going to see a Professor X, though, I think it will be McAvoy.
Fair.
I don't know why we would see a Professor X exactly, because my understanding of what we've kind of been given, the little breadcrumbs, has been, they're in a universe where this Wolverine's X-Men and everybody he knew is dead. So if that holds true, if they are in this universe specifically for most of the, if not all of the movie, I don't expect to see any Professor X's show up at all.
See, here's where I thought it could happen because I was interpreting it as he was sent to this universe because Wolverine didn't do what he needed to do and he didn't save the people, right? So the X-Men are gone. But Ryan Reynolds himself, Deadpool himself, mentions, oh, are we going to get a third act flashback? So that's why, as it gets to the list and as we go down the list and we start talking about other X-Men characters, you're going to hear me say yes more often because I could see us revisiting the moment that he was unable to save his team, unable to save his friends. And they don't need to be these like funny cameos. They actually could be these like really dramatic ones that only last a minute or two, literally all together, where we watch them get wiped off the face of the earth or, Apocalypse kills them or whatever it might be, any of those iconic storylines. I mean, I wouldn't put it past him to play some of the most iconic storylines for 5 seconds on the screen and not actually let us get to experience them. So that's why Professor X was tough because, like I said, we've already seen him before. And with the characters that I'm imagining coming back as X-Men, and like I said, we'll get down the list, that was the Patrick Stewart era, not the McAvoy era. So that's why I was like, Professor X is off the list. But that's why I kind of was like, oh, maybe with the rest of the X-Men, because I could see them doing a cameo-filled flashback.
Okay, that's totally fair. I think if it's a flashback, that's different than I'm thinking of like live cameos in the movie that isn't, whatever. So, with that being said, yes, I would still say no to Patrick Stewart for sure, unless it would be a flashback. I don't know though. I still don't want to say no to McAvoy. I don't want to put that off the table. I feel like there can be a joke there. So, because I'm tuning in to the Ryan Reynolds head. And so that is what I'm thinking is there could be the joke there. It could still have its moment, especially because Dark Phoenix didn't do so hot in the box office. So I feel like there's a joke there. I feel like there's options. So that one's only 50-50 because there's two people involved when you say Professor X. And I say yes to one and no to the other.
That's fair. I think that makes a lot of sense. I already hinted at how I feel about this next person, but I'm going to go ahead and give Katie the chance. Cyclops, I'm going to say James Marsden, yes, because again, flashback.
I'm also going to say yes because I don't think you have a Wolverine who lived the life this Wolverine lived and not bring a Cyclops in. I just don't think you do that.
Yeah, I agree. You have to have the other half of the coin. All right, another iconic X-Men character, though not on the team, at least in most of the things that I've seen, Sabretooth. I think yes, because again, this movie is Deadpool and Wolverine, and who is one of Wolverine's most both personal and iconic villains but Sabretooth?
I think I might also have to go with yes on this one for those reasons, but also because, again, I'm thinking about Ryan and what he would be putting out there, and I think it would make a lot of sense to have Sabretooth make an appearance here.
Yeah, I agree. All right, next, keeping in the X-Men category, the original Jean Grey. This one I'm on the fence on because for the same reason that I think we're going to see the rest and the same reason it makes sense to have Cyclops, that third side of the triangle, which we love so much, it would be weird not to have Jean because again, that's the love of his life. Or not maybe the love of his life, but in a lot of the media, that's the person he loves, right? Thea, on the other hand, she has pretty much said she's not in it. Is she deflecting? Who knows? I mean, we watched Andrew lie for so many years about whether or not he was in No Way Home. So, actors lie all the time.
Still struggling to get those right.
I caught myself before I ended the word though, so I'm going to call that improvement. But that's why I'm on the fence with her. I don't know. I'm struggling.
I have to be honest, my gut says no. I can't explain it. I mean, all your points about flashbacks are valid. So I think if you think about a flashback, it's very possible that all these people make a cameo, and that is completely true. But for some reason my gut just says no. I think the Jean Grey thing is just it's been played out in all the movies. I don't really know if we need her here.
Yeah, I think if I had to like pick one, I would also say no. That's what my gut says. It's only that flashback scene that's giving me pause. If that wasn't something that was hinted at in the trailer, and again, the trailers are so misleading, so we might not even get this, but I'm just going to choose to take that at face value and say if we get the flashback scene, it would be glaringly obvious and glaringly weird if we didn't have Jean Grey with them when they got obliterated. Or, I think one of the articles I was reading was saying, what if he doesn't kill her during Dark Phoenix? And, she actually is the reason all the X Men are dead. Either way, Jean's in the scene. And so that's the real reason that I'm struggling to fully say no with her. But we'll see. Then the next one, kind of in the same vein, is Halle Berry as Storm. Absolutely yes. I
Oh
think for the
yeah.
same reasons. Also, she had her hair white like 6 months ago, 9 months ago. We all saw it. It was short and white and looked just like Storm. And isn't that convenient? So, yes, 100% they're bringing Halle Berry back.
Yeah, I don't know what in me is like yes to Cyclops and yes to Storm, but no to Jean Grey of all people.
I know, right?
But it's my gut feeling. Like I just feel like I could see Cyclops appearing and I could see Storm appearing. I don't see Jean being there. But yeah, Halle Berry, I 100% see reprising her role. She also has said she would come back. Obviously, we are waiting for the MCU version of the X-Men, so we don't expect Halle Berry to come back as Storm in that capacity, but this is your opportunity to do it. If this is also going to be Hugh Jackman's kind of last hurrah, if you will, even though everybody said that Logan was, if this is now his last hurrah as Wolverine, I think it's fitting to bring some of his OG castmates back to play even a small role in this type of movie.
I totally agree. I think it would be the perfect pair swan song to Logan. You had the very sad, very dark, gritty, but beautiful masterpiece of that film is, which we all know Ryan Reynolds is like the biggest fangirl of Logan that I think I've ever seen in my entire life. It's hilarious and also like deserved. But I think this is an also good pairing. Like if you're gonna bring him back with the full team because that wasn't an opportunity in Logan. So I would love to do that. And I think they don't negate one another because they're so different but meaningful in different ways. Next, we are going to go right into a little bit of Logan. X-23. Do we think that she's back?
Yes.
I agree.
Oh, yes.
I agree.
I think first off, she's trying her hardest to act like she's not in this movie. And I'm like, girl, we all know.
Yeah.
I think it would be such a missed opportunity to not have her brought into this movie now as a grown person, because obviously she was a child in Logan. I think it would be a completely missed opportunity to not allow that to play out, even briefly. I understand that, like, that iconic shadow moment where, like, Wolverine stands over Deadpool and you see the claws. I totally know that that's Logan, but wouldn't it be hilarious if it was her?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, I think let's do it. It's also Deadpool and Wolverine. I understand she doesn't go by the Wolverine title per se, but technically she's a Wolverine, so
Yeah. And I think the one thing that's giving me a little bit of doubt is that they don't want to touch Logan. But I will say there's a way to do it where it's actually kind of a beautiful moment because she survives him. And so now she's older and now she meets this variant of Logan, which may or may not be the same variant, though I don't think it is based on what they're telling us. I think that could be really interesting. He knows nothing of her, but this is the father figure, the younger version of the father figure that she lost. So there could be some actually interesting emotional payout there as well.
true. Or they could go the other direction and neither know each other.
Yeah.
And it's just an appearance of Daphne Keene. She comes again, and that's kind of the upside of her being a kid in Logan because now she's a young adult. So she can play this older version of herself because she's literally naturally older. And it still has the same amount of payoff, at least for the fans. To your point, they would take away from like an emotional payoff, but maybe that's not needed. And if they're trying to avoid the whole Logan storyline, for the obvious reasons, this is a way to bring her in without bringing her in.
Yeah, no, that's fair too. I think there's so many options here, and that's why this movie is going to be so insane, is because literally in Ryan Reynolds we trust, and everything is on the table, which is like a crazy thought. But you mentioned the idea of Wolverine variants, and there's another one that people are talking about, and I have been changing my mind on this as I've been looking at this on the list. Patch, but a lot of people are saying not just Patch, Patch played by none other than Daniel Radcliffe. And if you've been listening to any of our recent fan cast episodes, you know that Dan was probably number one on our list for recasting Wolverine for the next, 10, 15, maybe even 20 years. So I am struggling because on one hand, I think it would be hilarious and so fun to bring in Dan. And one of the articles I was reading was kind of comparing it to doing John Krasinski because he was obviously so fan cast as Reed Richards. And then he's not going to play Reed Richards. We can 100% know that now. Like, he's not going to be our Reed Richards for the next 10 years. But we got to see him in the role. So it could be something like that in a much more funny way where he doesn't get turned into noodles. But at the same time, I don't want to waste the idea of Dan being Wolverine. And so I'm really struggling.
I think you make a really good point with the whole John Krasinski thing. And I do agree. I wouldn't want to see that played out a second time. That'd be pretty upsetting to me, especially because I think it was my pick to have Daniel Radcliffe as Wolverine. But maybe that's kind of the point of like, hey, if you're gonna super fan cast these people, we're going to give you what you want, just not how we want to do it. And so maybe that's kind of like the thought process. I do have to say, when I saw the scene in the trailer that is possibly that moment, I was like, it's Daniel Radcliffe. Like, that's immediately what went through my head.
I don't know how I feel about that. I didn't think that because it just didn't even occur to me to think about a different, variant of him. I don't know. I just, if they're gonna like throw every major fan cast in our faces for the rest of time, I'm gonna be really sad. Like, if we all really want someone to play a role, are you gonna punish us for that for the rest of the time that you're making movies? That's not fun. Like, it's a cute joke once or twice. But after that, it just becomes mean.
Well, let's remember though, to be fair, I don't know that John Krasinski didn't necessarily have the opportunity to go for the role. The fans actually a lot of them didn't end up liking him in the 5 seconds he played the role. But a lot of people didn't actually like him in the role that they saw him in. And I feel like that also could have very easily played a part in kind of what happened there, is that we saw it and we were like, ugh. And now, granted, I didn't feel that way. I felt very fulfilled because I was like, cool, this is who I wanted to watch play. And am I upset that Pedro's playing him? Of course not. No complaints. But I think that was probably part of it. When you get audience feedback like that, why would you cast him as Reed Richards then full time?
That's fair.
I get it. So maybe it's something like that too. Maybe it's a little bit of a dip in the pool to see how you feel about the waters before you jump fully into it.
That's fair. At least Dan's lucky, and if it is true, he's going to get decent writing. MOM was a trash bag, so poor John didn't really have a lot to work with.
Also fair points. And that would make him part of another mega franchise in his life, playing another mega role, and that would be pretty iconic of him.
I know. Go Dan. I just want all of the things. Man just won a Tony. Like, I love him. All right. I think we are almost done with X-Men characters or mutants in general. We have one more, and that is probably the biggest rumor coming out of or going into Deadpool, which is that Taylor Swift is going to play Dazzler. Yay or nay?
This one's really hard. A part of me really would like to just say no. However, the facts don't feel on my side because there has been rumors she's talked with Kevin about a possible role. She does fit the Dazzler criteria pretty down to the book. Do I think Dazzler has room anywhere else in the MCU? No, not at all. I just don't. She's not really one of those characters that I think plays into a lot of other things, in my opinion. So where would she fit? Something like Deadpool. On top of, she happens to be Ryan's wife's BFF, and they hang out all the time. So I feel like with all those facts, my gut has to tell me to say yes. If it's going to happen, it would happen here.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I know a lot of people are comparing it to the Brad Pitt cameo that you mentioned as, what was it, Vanisher? She doesn't have to be in long, but it's kind of one of those gags of taking one of the biggest names in entertainment and only putting them in for a few seconds. Do I think she's going to be in the MCU long term? No. She's not an actress. I know she's done movies in the past, but I don't think she's like going to start acting full time. She's out touring the world like 400 days out of 365. So she really doesn't even have time to act. So I do see her in this way coming in, doing a small cameo. To your point, she has that relationship with both Blake and Ryan. We'll get to Blake in a second. And I just think it makes a lot of sense. And to your point, if they're going to do it, this is the place. I did tease Blake because there's a couple of options for Deadpool variants as well. And she coming in as Lady Deadpool is one of them. I personally think this is happening. I am here for it. And I think it will be hilarious.
I think it's the biggest missed opportunity if it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
First off, she was his love interest in Green Lantern. The irony of all of that cannot be missed. Let's be real, guys. This is how they met.
Also, I was rewatching Deadpool recently in preparation for the Deadpool of everything that's happening over the next month or so. And there's a Green Lantern trading card at the beginning opening sequence of Deadpool. He loves poking that. He loves making fun of that role.
Well, right. So think about this is where this all starts. Green Lantern. But then that is his wife in real life, who he also loves joking around, poking fun at. So I think that would be hilarious. On top of, clearly she acts like, hello, we've all seen her in 9 million different things. I mean, Gossip Girl personally. But she's been in so many things, and she has some great range to play right behind or beside or whatever has to happen to her husband in this movie. Also, again, how hilarious to be able to bring her in like that. I think that's just so fitting.
I also, just having watched Deadpool, I'm thinking about all of the dirty jokes he can make about Blake being a version of himself.
True. And also, again, a missed opportunity if you are going to have Lady Deadpool and not have it be your own wife.
I agree.
In my opinion. Like, who else would fill that role and make it funny?
No one. That's the answer.
Because the answer to all of this is yes, a comedian or anybody can make it funny, but who else can, like, just by the thought of them being in that role, be like, that is hilarious that he did that?
Yeah. It has to be meta for it to, like, take it to that next level, and she makes it meta.
Right.
All right. Another interesting Deadpool variant is Kidpool, and a lot of people are talking about it being Percy Jackson himself, Walker Scoble, who has played a younger version of Ryan Reynolds. Also, I'm pretty sure has the entirety of Deadpool memorized. The kid is a walking miniature of Ryan Reynolds. I know he says he's not in it. I think he's lying. He is in it, and he is Kidpool.
I feel like I'm a broken record because I've said yes to a lot of these, and clearly they cannot all be in the movie, but I also agree with this one. First off, love Walker. Love him to death. Watched The Addams Project. It makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
If you haven't seen that, that's what Taylor is referring to when he plays the younger version of Ryan Reynolds' character. That's how those two meet. It's perfect. Those two are 100% perfect together as a younger and older version. Again, this to me feels like a huge missed opportunity if you're going to have Kidpool in the movie. If he's not, different story. But if he is, come on. Again, T's point, it has to be meta for it to be hilarious beyond just jokes.
Yeah, agreed. All right, now we're going to move into some more. We talked about a couple of them, but some more of the OG versions of characters making a comeback. So we're going to talk about now Wesley Snipes as the OG Blade. My gut says no.
This one's hard because I feel like I've seen people online talking about possibly seeing him in the background of one of the stills.
Yeah.
And that is the only reason I kind of stutter step on this one. I think it's a little weird when you have Blade trying desperately to be created by Marvel with obviously not the OG actor. I think that's hard because I think that kind of treads on some interesting waters. But I don't know. This one's hard for me.
Yeah, it is tough for exactly what you said. Those rumors are going around that that's him in that shot. But at the same time, to your point, with the new Blade around the corner, do you really want to muck that up and make that confusing for people and rehash something that happened 20 years ago when you're trying to not necessarily like make people forget the original, but like, do you really want to have like two actors playing the same role within, if Blade comes out next November, within a year and a half of one another? I don't know that you want to do that. I also did read somewhere that apparently Wesley Snipes and Ryan Reynolds don't get along, which is interesting because they were in Blade together. Ryan Reynolds is in Blade. So, on a meta level, that's actually funnier because he's in it. So, that would be cool. Apparently, Ryan Reynolds just plays all the comic book characters all the time. But that's Blade. Next is the OG Fantastic Four, or even what we're going to call now the middle Fantastic Four. I don't think either one of them are in it, to be honest. I think if we're going to do those, I think they are going to be in Secret Wars. I don't think Deadpool is going to touch them.
I agree. I don't think Deadpool is going to touch either of them, especially because if they're going to do the middle version of the Fantastic Four, you got to tread lightly because you have Michael B. Jordan there. And I feel like that should be left to a Secret Wars position. As far as the OGs, hello, you have Chris Evans. Also have to tread lightly. I think the jokes are there for Deadpool, but I think it makes more sense. And also, we've been hearing a lot of rumors that Chris has confirmed he wants to come back as Johnny Storm.
Yeah.
So, that being said, I think leave that for Secret Wars. Let's not get this too muddied. I think it makes sense to have characters like some of the OG X-Men, some of the OG non-X-Men characters that have been in the other movies, things like that. Even some of these others like Deadpool, Kidpool, all these, they make sense. I don't think these extra ones are going to make sense here. We can have this exact same conversation though when Secret Wars is coming around, and I think we're going to get I think we're going to just have through the roof like all sorts of like discussion about it, but I do think that's more of the opportunity for these types of characters.
I would agree. I think the opportunity to, especially in the Fantastic Four realm, to bring all three versions of the characters together could be really interesting. And that's not really how the comic goes in Secret Wars, and I will die on that hill, but it seems to be the direction that the studio's taking it. So we shall see. All right, the last of the OGs to talk about are Toby and Andrew, and that's a hard no for me because we've done it already.
That is also a no for me because I will die on the hill that I do want Deadpool and Spider-Man to be together at some point, but it should be Tom's. He is our current Spider-Man. He should be the one who has that relationship. Do I think 100% Ryan would have probably paired better with Andrew?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a heartbeat. I think that was the Spider-Man that made the most sense there. But again, Tom is our current Spider-Man. Sony, you want to put every other movie out, but you won't put The Amazing Spider-Man 3 out. So until and if I ever get that confirmation, I think we're going with Tom. And at the end of the day, I don't think we're going to see Spider-Man in this movie.
Agreed. All right. Final category of folks, and that's current MCU characters who could make an appearance. We're going to start it off with Loki. Yes or no? I'm going to say no.
I'm also going to say no. I think, again, we don't understand the timeline of events of Loki at all. Like, I have no idea where that fits on anything. But regardless of that, yes, the TVA is involved. We know that. But this is one of those like meta things where like it's taking place in the same thing and it could be even happening at the same time as things like Loki. We just don't know it. And it's kind of happening on the other side. Like that kind of idea. So I don't think we'll see it. Even if it did happen and it is taking place after season 2 Loki, that's more of a reason for me to say no.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I chose to assume it's taking place after Loki, although I guess that's bold considering the TVA looks like they're up and running perfectly happily.
Right.
Well, okay, to your point.
Unless, remember, there's the multiverse. Are there TVAs in other? Remember, this was a whole conversation. So, like, maybe we don't even touch that idea.
I hate everything about the TVA. Like, I really do.
No, we hate everything about the multiverse.
That's true. My eye just twitched when we started talking about multiple TVAs. So that's pretty much where we are today.
It's okay. I just started choking on air. So clearly we have an adverse reaction to the multiverse and the TVA.
Yeah, it's not a good time for us over here at Sisters Assembled when we start talking about the multiverse. But I will say, if it is after season 2, that makes zero sense. Why is Deadpool talking to the God of Stories? Like, they're just on two different playing fields. I know Tom Hiddleston is playing coy. Tom, come on. We all know you're not in it. Just chill. Just tell us no, and we'll move on with our lives. Well, the people who really want to see you will not move on with their lives, but everyone else, look, no shade to Tom. I just don't think he fits in this film. But everybody else is just going to move on with their lives. Now, his partner in crime, Mobius, 100% he's in this film.
For sure. Hasn't he accidentally confirmed that like 2 years ago?
I don't remember.
Didn't he say I feel like he made some, and by he, I mean Owen Wilson. I feel like he made some comment at one point that already had us all thinking this like prior to season 2 of Loki already. Like we were already like, he's in Deadpool 3.
I do remember it's been a rumor for a really, really long time. I don't remember what sparked it.
Well, regardless, I agree. It's a yes. It's a yes for me. I mean, we were all already speculating then at the end of Loki season 2 where Mobius is ending up, and it's probably with Deadpool. It's a yes for me. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. And with that, we've actually gone through our exceptionally long list.
I have one to add.
Okay.
And I'm only saying it because the great abyss of the internet has had it in multiple articles that I've seen. So I'm just going to throw it out there. And it's to this list anyway. Thor. I don't know why, but I do know why. I can tell you the article. I can tell you what the article has told me. How about that? It's saying that at CinemaCon 2024, it was said or revealed that Chris would have a cameo in the upcoming Wolverine or Deadpool and Wolverine movie.
Oh, that's the Wall of Avengers. That's the cameo.
No, because they said that the rumor saying is it's him grieving over a quote unquote dead Deadpool like he did in Thor 2, grieving over his quote unquote dead brother Loki.
Oh.
This is rumor, but we are doing this and we're going pretty much off of all rumor here. So I'm going to throw it out there and who knows? I think it would be kind of funny, especially considering his brother wasn't actually dead in that moment. And now his brother's the god of stories and like runs the multiverse. It has its layers to it. Does it make sense? No, not really. I don't really know how or where or when Thor would show up here. So I'm going to gut wrench and say no, but it'd be interesting if we just saw him show up.
I don't like it. I don't. I think, too, Chris has talked a lot about making Thor as a character like too funny, especially in Love and Thunder. And I just feel like showing up in Deadpool doesn't exactly give the vibe that he's going to be a little bit more serious with the character.
Well, to be fair, if that scene is accurate, though, that's a very serious scene. Like, it's not until Deadpool would ruin it, which he would. Chris himself wouldn't necessarily be playing a funny role.
Right. It would still be, though, played for laughs. And I think the end result is going to be what makes it, like, to your point, funny for the audience, but also, like, kind of takes away from Thor. And I don't by any means think he's going to go back to the tone of, Thor's 1 and 2. But I think the sweet spot is Ragnarok. We've talked about this 1,000 times. Like, how do you pull back from Love and Thunder to hit Ragnarok? And I don't know that showing up in Deadpool is necessarily the way to do that.
True. I don't disagree. I'm just saying, in my scouring of the internet, while I found all the ones you found, that was one you didn't name, and it happened to go in this category as well. So I just wanted to throw it out there. If it happens, hey guys, weird, but it did. If it doesn't, another one that just hits the ground.
Yeah. I mean, we're being thorough. I personally am not backing that one, but, gotta try to get them all, like the Pokemon. Anyway, that is it. That is our full list that we found. Please let us know via DMs or comments or anything if we did miss a character or two, because the list is, I'm sure, even longer. But this is the beginning. We are going to be talking about Deadpool for a while, for the next few weeks at least. So get ready. Make sure you're rewatching all of the Deadpool movies. We're going to rewatch all of the X-Men movies, or some of them for the first time, in preparation for this film. So it's going to be a really, really fun time. Make sure that you are subscribing on your podcast platform of choice so that you are following along with us as we ramp up and continue with our Deadpool coverage. And also make sure that you're regularly checking out the website. The blog will be popping off with Deadpool stuff, and it's going to be a good time. So, yeah, following and the website. 2 action items. Go do it.
Speaking of following, you guys can find us on your favorite social medias. We are on quite a few of them. So go ahead and search Sisters Assembled on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, and YouTube. And you guys can give us a follow or a subscribe on any or all of those to keep up with us and the show. Taylor mentioned it already. We are starting the Deadpool and Wolverine coverage. So next week, guys, it's predictions time. And we are so hyped for this. So get ready. We are going through the trailers. We are combing through them. And we're going to have our predictions for what was probably going to be the craziest movie. And also, we are probably going to be 100% wrong. But that's okay. That's the point of doing it. It's just to have fun. So join us for our predictions next week. And then right after, we've got Deadpool and Wolverine premiering. So we are so ready. Keep up with Marvel and keep up with us as Marvel just blew your mind. So let's talk about it.